It's 6 o'clock and it's Monday evening here at Cornerstone campus, and it's the evening that we have our ADT CLCs, and tonight I'm here to introduce to you the second tutorial for natural science and technology. So I want to welcome you as we progress through the evening. If you join us, this is the Natural Science and Technology Didactics CLC Tutorial Unit 2. I'm just going to bring up our PowerPoint slides so that we can talk to it. And as I welcome you, I want to just say that we're going to be using some new technology that is going to include watching a couple of DVDs on air in real time, and I just want you to bear with us as we bring up these videos. I will tell you more about it as we progress during the course of this hour. So tonight we start with Natural Science and Technology Didactics, our second tutorial. And in welcoming you, I want to give you the title for tonight's tutorial, which is Doing Science. When you do get to watch this, I would like you to know that at this point in time, there is going to be quite a few activities, examples of best practice. We're going to have a lot of information on preparation for the next assignment. And so tonight, in welcoming you and giving you feedback, in this unit, this is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to begin with an icebreaker video activity, and when it comes up, I will give you more information about it. We're going to look back and through a reflective process, look at the first assignment that we've been engaged in, and that is discussion forum 1, and some feedback on that. We're going to look at the CAPS requirement regarding module outcome 2, preparation and information on the next assessment. And as I said, we're going to look at a few videos on how classroom activities around doing science, exploring science didactics in the classroom can happen. So we're going to look at a few examples and involve ourselves with a couple of activities around it. And then to conclude, some discussions and questions. I want you to, if you join us this evening, use Q&A if you're watching from or listening from home. And if you do connect during the course of the evening, feel free to use group chat. And certainly I would like to invite you, once you have watched this video, to send through your questions and your concerns and any queries via Funda during the course of the week. So in focusing this unit on doing science, we are looking at, in particular, science investigations and process skills, scientific process skills that forms the bulk of Unit 2 and in preparation for your next assignment. So to begin with, we're going to watch a video which I am going to bring up. And whilst watching this video, I would like you to think about it carefully and record, particularly I'm asking you to record your thoughts on a table. If you can draw up a table while watching this video, it's a short excerpt. I would like you to answer the following 2 things. I would like you to think about at least 5 things that resonate with you when you watch this video. 5 things that mean something to you, that you agree with, that you enjoy, that you like. And then I would like you on the next column to jot down 5 things that concern you as a teacher or a teacher in training. Things that concern you might revolve around resources, classroom layout, discipline, time, hazards, safety, among other things that might come up during the watching of this video. I am going to put the address of the video in front of you. You're welcome to type in the URL and watch it through your own system. And I'm now going to bring up a short clip that is called Not Reading Science, Doing Science.
Throughout this entire year, the kids always ask, well, what am I supposed to get? I don't know. What did you get? Well, what's the answer? I don't know. What was your answer? The process of science is learning from things that don't go well.
I am going to start this again. Just bear with me. I'm going to bring it up again to you.
There's no right answer. Throughout this entire year, the kids always ask, well, what am I supposed to get? I don't know. What did you get? Well, what's the answer? I don't know. What was your answer? The process of science is learning from things that don't go well. The process of science is taking and, not just reading in a textbook, but actually experiencing it. So this experiment, they're testing the factors of thermal energy. Half the group is testing how mass affects thermal energy, and then half the group is testing temperature. And they're going to see how does temperature affect the amount of thermal energy, which is the ice melting, and then how does having more water affect how fast the ice melts. Does that make it clearer? Your data table, and you notice how it's blank because people are doing different things. Put in the appropriate ones so you don't get confused or you're doing this.
Science last year, we did a lot of the same thing, kind of like with the notes. But this year, we do a lot more hands-on science, which is a lot more fun. We do a lot of like fun stuff, like cool items. We're playing with beakers, thermal art packet things.
Every group has kind of an expertise, and they share their expertise with other students, and then they learn from each other. And I said that at the beginning of the year, and they kind of laughed at me. I said, you're not going to learn everything from me. You're going to actually learn more from each other. And at the very beginning, they kind of didn't believe that. But when they run the experiment, they find the evidence, they learn it for themselves, and then they try to explain, what story does the data tell? Does it match what the textbook's telling me? And if it doesn't, what does that mean? Does it mean that you did anything wrong? What can you learn from that?
I'm going to bring up our PowerPoint again. And so as an icebreaker, easing into the whole idea of doing science, I would like you to and encourage you to watch that clip again as you ponder and reflect on those things in that clip that resonated with you as a teacher of natural science and technology in training, and those things that concerned you. Because in preparation for this unit, you are going to ask those kinds of questions. As we move along, we will come back to explore that concept a little bit further. I'd like to just draw your attention very briefly on our first assessment that we have just concluded, Discussion Forum 1. And I would like you to send your thoughts, whatever questions that you have, regarding the experience of asking and exploring what is science and what is technology and how do they come together in the CAPS curriculum for the intermediate phase. I would like you to engage in a KWL reflection. In drawing 3 tables, I would like you to just explore what did you know prior to doing and participating in the discussion forum? What would you still like to know in terms of the experience? And what did you learn? What did you learn firstly from the actual experience of the assessment in participating as a group in challenging and responding to each other through the discussion? And then more particularly, what have you learned that is going to set a foundation and a platform for the rest of the semester and for you as a teacher in exploring how natural science and technology is organized and the specific aims and so forth as you have recently undertaken. Right, I'm going to bring up this slide again. Okay. So in doing a reflection and self-reflection, and you're most welcome to send your thoughts through on Funda as well, I would like you to just reflect on your experience of the discussion forum that has just been concluded. This assessment goes towards progression and was compulsory for you to participate in and comprised 20% of your year mark or your semester mark. Right, and we're going to continue as we look specifically into tonight's tutorial and Unit 2. It's based on Module Outcome 2, and here again this module is linked to the CAPS document as well as your assessment, the unit, and this tutorial. It's about exploring natural science and technology learning and teaching requirements and approaches for the intermediate phase. It's about doing science and technology. Your next assignment is due on the 28th of August, which isn't very far from now, and it weighs 30% of your semester mark and the mark for this module. The answer that you're going to provide for this assignment is going to be presented as a table, and you would find that throughout this tutorial I will ask for you to capture your thoughts as a table, to tabulate your thoughts. So it's going to be an exercise in the approach in terms of synthesizing and synchronizing content and context, the different headings that are required and so forth. This question asks you to plan and prepare for a grade 6 class an investigation project which demonstrates process skills. You will find more information in this tutorial as well as in the CAPS document in between pages 8 to 15, and more specifically on process skills between pages 11 to 12. You'll find that in paragraph 2. The table needs to demonstrate your knowledge of the steps that is required for a project. It should show your strategies that you plan for, activities in preparing learners to do the project. It should show what content you have based this project on, the resources that is needed for you as a teacher and for the students who are going to undertake the investigation. It must show an integration between science and technology and the various skills that are needed. You need to choose an appropriate topic for the grade, and it must take you over a 4-week period, which means there needs to be included a sense of development, a start, a middle, and an end. So your design for this investigation project needs to show a plan depicted on a table that must show a sequence of events over a period of 4 weeks. You need to include your supporting material in your submission, material like your references, observation sheets, worksheets, textbook, so forth. You're most welcome to send your questions or give me a call if you need more information on this, if you haven't started yet. And certainly for the finer details of this assignment, along with the marking memo, please refer to your module outline, the resources, and the lessons subpages of Funda. So, to prepare you for this assignment and for that part of the curriculum that you will be teaching in the classroom, I have a couple of activities, some videos, some examples, and some readings for you. Right, so we are looking specifically in this assignment and in this unit on the scientific method. And so I'm going to ask you to either copy the URL or watch the video with me. It's just 4 minutes long and it's going to show you more or less what best practices can be like. But I invite you to not just take note of all the good things, but also see whether you can apply the example in the contexts that you find yourself. I would like you as an activity while you watch this video and observe, take notes using a table format again of what you find as best practice in doing the activities that show an investigation and the scientific method. So we're going to watch the first video. There are 2 examples. I'm going to bring the first one up. It's a very simple example of how you can follow the steps. Just bear with me as I bring it up. All right, the purpose for why I have selected this very simple approach is to give you an idea of how you can apply doing science in various contexts using the simplest of resources. The first video shows very simple cut and stick type of resources. I would like you to raise the volume as you on your computer as you watch this, and certainly I will do so on this end as well. I would also like to at this point welcome the one viewer that we have joined us. Please use Q&A if you have any questions to raise.
Steps of a scientific method. Scientists use scientific methods as they work. Scientific methods are organized ways to answer questions and solve problems. These methods include several steps, although scientists might not use all the steps, or they might not use the steps in order. You will use scientific methods when you want to find something out, or when you do science fair projects. The first step in the scientific method is to ask a question. You might have a question about something you observe. For example, does grass need sun to grow? Next, you will research by reading, getting advice, and making observations. For example, you might read about the effects of sun on plants or talk to a horticulturist. The next step is to state your hypothesis. A hypothesis is a possible answer to your question. You tell what you think will happen. For example, you might say that grass needs partial sun to grow. The next step is the procedure. You plan how you will test your hypothesis. You identify and control variables. Variables are things that can change. For a fair test, you choose just one variable to change. Keep all other variables the same. For example, test growing grass in full sun, partial sun, and no sun at all. Next, you want to actually test your hypothesis. This is where you collect your materials and tools, conduct the experiment, and record the data. For example, you would actually plant grass seed where there is full sun, partial sun, and no sun at all. The next step is to gather your results. You interpret your data. Organize your notes and records to make them clear. Make diagrams, charts, or graphs to help. The last step, making your conclusion. This is where you analyze your data and summarize your findings. State your conclusion. Your conclusion is a decision you make based on your data. Communicate what you found out. Tell whether or not your data supported your hypothesis. For example, you might find out that grass grows the best in partial sun. That is the scientific method. Again, question, research, hypothesize, find out your procedure, conduct your experiment, gather your results, and make your conclusion. These are the steps of the scientific method. You will.
Okay, so here was the first example of a very simple approach to knowing the steps that we can follow in doing science, using very low-tech, simple resources, a very simple explanation of how to go about doing science in the classroom with students has been shared with you, where not much information was not too difficult to understand in terms of the simple steps to follow. So as you watch that, I would like you again to make some notes in terms of what were the steps. Was there a sequence of how to do it? And in terms of planning an investigation project, how would you go about planning with these steps? The next example is somewhat more sophisticated. But before I show it to you, I'm going to just go through the next few slides that actually help us to understand from the curriculum what exactly must we plan for. All right, so the next few slides are going to look at the CAPS requirements, which I have purposely produced here for you to have quick access to, but you will find the more detailed version between pages 8 and 15 of your Natural Science and Technology CAPS document. So just to remind us, this is something we talked about during the first tutorial. This aim specifically has to do with doing science. So here we are doing science, where learners are engaged in investigations and analyzing problems and practical processes in terms of finding solutions. So that's the first thing that we are planning for, the specific aim 1 in terms of doing science. And then in terms of process skills, 2.7 explains in detail the major processes and design skills that need to be taught. There are layers of information and interaction here. Firstly, to us as teachers, telling us what we should be able to do with our students, and 2, how we should go about it, and 3, what students should know and be able to do for learning, teaching, and assessment. Here we have the cognitive and practical processes. I just want to highlight the last 2 lines about raising and tapping into curiosity. And you do remember we focused much on that during our first tutorial. It's about supporting creativity, responding and growing confidence. And here is a list of all the action words, the doing words, the verbs that are needed in terms of planning, experiencing and exploring skills in natural science and technology. I'm not going to go through all of it in detail, but I would like you to make particular note of the dark print that I've highlighted for you. These action words are the words that we actually plan for and plan around. There are 17 skills that have been listed in terms of doing science and in particular planning for investigations and process skills. They range from designing, evaluating, gathering, classifying, and so forth. It is going to be most important for you to study this in order for you to plan for it in your next assignment. And so, as you refer to this, I would like you to watch the next video, which is pretty long, but I'm going to just play about 5 to 6 minutes, during which time I would like you to tabulate here again what you see as skills that are used in the example provided for you. Can you find, can you take note, can you observe the many process skills that are asked for? Is there hypothesizing planned for? Are the students comparing or measuring or sorting? How has the teacher planned for the investigation in a very practical way through exploring science? And then just to conclude, do take note that in choosing an appropriate topic and area for the grade, the CAPS document spells out 4 areas or strands of knowledge that are part of the natural sciences, and you may plan around one of these and integrate your technology strands together with it. And certainly you can cross over all of them or choose one in particular to plan around. It is for a 4-week period. So, in watching this next video, I have particularly chosen a depiction of what a lesson plan for a 4-week period could cover. I'm not going to go through it in detail. You are most welcome to study it. Among others, you're going to plan for assessments, you're going to plan teacher-led examples and content, you're going to plan around knowledge, and then what exactly the students are going to do, the research, the gathering of information, how are they going to report back to you. And are they going to work collaboratively or by themselves, independently, and so forth? So in preparing for this assignment, the first port of call is that we are working with an investigation project which has steps, and then you are planning as a teacher for how to go about teaching it in a practical way in terms of doing and exploring science in the classroom. I'm going to bring up the video, and we're going to, if we have time, come back to round up. If not, I just want to draw your attention to the next 2 slides before we play the video, and you conduct your reflection on it. I'm hoping that we will have time to share our thoughts, certainly on Funda, and I do invite you here again to send your tables in whatever form or comments, looking at what to do, who is doing it, where is the action happening, how are the lessons planned for, when is the activities happening, the why and for how long. And here again, I will provide you a brief example of a table with some key headings that you can use in tabulating your thoughts. Next CLC will take place on the 8th of September, this time at 8 o'clock. And it will focus on assignment 2, which is about applying science knowledge. And it's going to be in preparation for the next assignment, which has to do with planning and assessment. Here again, I invite you, encourage you, actually urge you to constantly check on Funda the various announcements, messages and emails and so forth that are posted there, and most especially the weekly lessons that are posted there to help you along the way. Very soon we're going to be in the middle of the semester, and I want to wish you very well for the rest of the semester. I'm going to go back now and draw up and bring up the video, and hopefully we will have some time to raise some questions. All right, before I put the video on, STEM stands for teaching of science, technology, economics, and mathematics. And quite often science and technology work very well, but also with an EMS and a maths slant. So if you hear the word STEM, or as you've seen on the Funda site that I've pasted a couple of examples on the lesson sub-pages on STEM activities that you can explore and ideas. So here we go. I'm going to play you this video that shows you best practice.
This teaching moment is made possible by Chase.
You can't use a chair, you can't use props.
My name is Donna Migdal, and I teach STEM to 5th and 6th graders in the Oceanside School District in New York.
Justin, someone has to be there to catch it.
My 5th graders are involved right now in roller coaster physics, where they have to create a roller coaster that is both fun and safe at the same time.
You'll see there's not enough friction or too much momentum.
They're learning about potential and kinetic energy, and they're learning about Newton's 3 laws of motion, and then trying to see that at work and at play within the design challenge. Last week they tested for the safety piece to keep that marble on the track at all times, and today the objective is that the students design the optimal coaster with the longest ride so that the marble gets to the very end without falling off. So today we're going to be testing for fun. The fun that I want you to test for today is how that marble can get to the end of the track. That's the piece of fun we're trying today. All right, but I really think that good engineers learn from what they experienced and tested beforehand. So I want to do a chime and think about the greatest challenge with safety that your group had. I started today's lesson with something called chiming. They pick a chimer in each group, and they tell about what trials and tribulations they had the week before in terms of the engineering design process, and the other students take notes and then chime in.
In our group, when we connected both of the foam insulations, our marble came, and then it kind of like jumped because it was kind of falling into the crack and the indentation.
First off, it absolutely is a formative assessment tool for me to understand, to get a pulse of where the students are. And secondly, to promote autonomous learning, where students value each other's ideas, and the learning does not have to pass through me. It goes directly from student to student, and they start to honor each other's ideas, and they start to understand that they're the ones that are the true problem solvers.
I think that the marble kept falling off maybe because you need more speed. So if you do a little bit of a hill and make it down, maybe it'll gather more potential energy, so it'll have the energy to make it across the loop.
Communication is a huge part of engineering design. Otherwise, their ideas would stay to themselves. They have to communicate their ideas, and through that, they learn and they get smarter in terms of widening their ideas about how the world works and how the physics world works.
It had too little dissipated energy, so it had too much potential energy coming off the loop, and then it would just like fly off the track.
I want you to now do an individual sketch. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do your individual sketch. Labels are important. Their individual sketches are a good way for me to assess what their ideas are, for them to do self-assessment, and for peer assessment. You must have, if you're thinking of clothoid loops, make sure you say the word clothoid. If you're thinking of a small, medium, or large loop, must say that. I want them to show the science that they know when they're sketching out their idea. If there's a loop and they know that it's centripetal force, they should put centripetal force starts here. What type of loop? We learned about the difference in engineering between clothoid and circular loops, so they should label that clothoid. If they're not sure about the exact amount of centimeters, either a medium, a short, or a long rise and run, any ideas that you have are in that sketch, because that's your way of communicating to the rest of your group how to sell your sketch as the design of the day, the first design of the day.
So I was thinking 2 small clothoid loops, and then like a small hill after each one, and then a medium rise with a long run, so we'll have enough kinetic energy to go around the first loop, and also tape at the end to cause friction.
I like for them to do a group sketch because it gets them involved in the engineering design process, what it's all about.
I think we use the sandpaper to slow it down at the end because the tape wasn't like helping that much because it wasn't that like strong.
You can't have 4 different designs in one group. You have to come to one design. We don't have the materials, we don't have the time, so they have to do a lot of team building and collaboration and come up with a consensus.
At the end, with the sandpaper work, because sandpaper and the marble rubbing together will cause friction.
So now we're going to take your sketch, your group sketch, and we're going to go to the model simulator, and you're going to do 2 runs. When they're on the simulator, it's not just playing the game, because they can never get away from what an engineer does. Remember, everyone, that the mass that you're choosing, whether it be the small mass or the large mass, that the amount of cars you use in the simulation duplicates that idea. So if it's small mass, you're not going to use more than 2 cars. They take Post-its with them, and they take their design portfolio. They map out their sketch and design it on the program. And then if they fail, what's the failure? They write that down, like if it was stuck or if it crashed. And after that, they have to write why they think that happened, and then they have to write one modification.
Okay, smaller rise.
And they do the same process over again.
Like, make this straight, and then if you want to put, like, sandpaper here, like,
We're going to stop the video at this point, but I certainly would like you to watch the rest of it as it demonstrates the rest of this very sophisticated, very involved, quite high-tech classroom with all the ideas that the teacher has planned for and wants to let her students experience in terms of doing science and exploring the various concepts that this particular lesson was designed around. So as I bring up the last slide, I would like to just ask you to bear with me. All right, so just to go back to the activity that I've asked you to do, and a reminder, in watching these two videos in preparation for Unit 2 and Module Outcome 2, and the assessment that you're going to embark on, basically we're going to look at tabulating the various skills that the CAPS document requires in doing a practical investigation in the classroom. So here again, I want to say welcome you and tell you that you're most welcome to write to me and to ask me any questions that you might need to ask in terms of clarity. I want to wish you well for this evening. Thanks.
Stop.